Okay, hello beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode. Now, the first thing I need to address, again, is that this is yet another episode that is not the procrastination episode I promised. My excuse this time, not that there's really a good excuse, is I want to talk about like ADHD and neurodivergence in that episode. And those are just more scientific topics that I really should not be yapping about without doing my proper research. And I've honestly just been kind of going through it, like really struggling to find balance and structure in my life as a creator. I'm kind of fighting for my life to even get this episode out. So I was like, let me just talk about something that will require less of my time and brain power. Oh, and by the way, since I know people are going to ask, this is the Premier Spun Colors yarn in Mallard. It is one of the most beautiful color changing yarns I've ever worked with. I'm just making a scarf, but like, look how gorgeous that is. I actually had my friend tell me that my podcast is a little bit more scripted than she expected. Not in a bad way, but just, more content and less rambly than some of the ones we listen to. And I actually really appreciated that feedback because I think I have been too focused on making the episodes substantial and I've kind of lost sight of my original intention, which was just to sit here and yap about random stuff. So for today, I'm just going to be super unserious and we are going to build my dream man. And yes, I am a flaming heterosexual as far as I know, unfortunately. But yeah, there were actually a few different things that inspired this topic. Inspired is too lofty of a word, but you know what I mean. The first thing, okay, for context, at the beginning of this year, instead of doing New Year's resolutions, I did like New Year's manifestations / intentions. I've talked about this on a previous episode, but I am very bad at dreaming or like visualizing or just having the courage to imagine bigger, brighter futures for myself. I am almost too grounded in reality to a point where it holds me back. So I wanted to just push myself to think like, okay, if you could have whatever you wanted, whatever you asked for, what would you want? It's like that Notebook scene where he's like, what do you want? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I just wanted to shift my focus more towards the goal of what I want to achieve instead of the path necessary to achieve it. So I wrote down a bunch of milestones for my content creator career. I'm just not going to look at them until the end of the year. But while I was doing it, I was like, I might as well just write down everything I want in a man too. Obviously, no one is perfect. I'm not perfect, although I like to think I am most of the things that I ask for in a partner. I've had a lot of friends tell me that I have a very pessimistic, defeatist mindset about dating, and I do. I feel very defeated, and I think the pool of men that we're choosing from, like even if I could have whoever I wanted, it's a bit dismal, but that's for another episode. The point is, I decided to stop thinking about the kind of men that are out there, the kind of men that I've been meeting, and just focus on like, what is it that you do want? I'll pull out the list later because I'm curious what I wrote, but that was only 4 months ago and nothing has happened in my life on the dating front, so I highly doubt anything has changed. Oh, the other thing that sort of gave me this idea is that I've had some people ask me what my type is, because whenever I complain about being chronically single, and I am chronically single, by the way, we also need an episode on that, but people will be like, oh, what's your type? Maybe I know someone I can introduce you to. And I don't know. Obviously, there's the good versus bad things. Like, I want someone who doesn't lie and doesn't cheat. But the more subjective stuff, I'm honestly not sure anymore. Like, it's been so many years since I've met someone that I really liked that I just don't have a good grasp. And it's funny because I used to be such a checklist type girl when I was in high school, even college. I was like really in my extreme overachiever, prestige, grind beast, double Virgo mode for like the first 2 decades of my life. And I think because I valued myself and everyone around me based on intelligence and academic achievement and like work ethic, I sort of held my hypothetical partner to those same standards. I also think at the time I was much more focused on viewing a partner as like an extension of myself. So they needed to be someone that I thought really highly of. And this is going to sound bad, but like someone who was worthy of me. Whereas now I think much more, I guess, mechanically about the nature of a relationship and not just who the person is, but whether the way they treat you and the way they interact with you actually aligns with the kind of relationship you want. So yeah, in high school, I was like, I want a guy with a 4.0 GPA who's a state-ranked athlete and excels in his extracurriculars and speaks at least 2 languages, which, especially now that I'm saying it out loud, is like literally just an Ivy League applicant. As much as I'm not proud to admit it, like, I definitely was an academic elitist at this time. And I think it was only natural. I've mentioned this before, but like my family and my high school and just my community growing up was pretty much all immigrant parent families that were really focused on college admissions for their children, which makes sense because that's like usually a big reason they immigrated to begin with. The other funny thing that informed my like type in men was my mom, and I need to have her on the pod, honestly, because she is such a hilarious, wise, loving, just like silly, goofy woman, and y'all would get a kick out of her. Like every time I post screenshots of her texts on my Instagram story, I get more replies than I get to anything else. But she has this funny tendency to like typecast people. Like she really subscribes to this correlation between what you study or what you do as a job and your personality. So she believes that people who are in STEM, like math, science, engineering, are super logical, introverted, kind of emotionless, and not romantic. And then people who are in the humanities, so like, you know, arts, literature, I guess sort of business, they're super social and sweet talkers, and they really feel their feelings, so they're like volatile and less reliable. Like she calls my dad Deadwood, which I recognize probably sounds like an insult, but it's a good thing. And for the record, I think my dad is so hilarious, charismatic, easy to talk to, emotionally intelligent, like no less than my mom. Although she likes to say that he wasn't always like that, and I'm sure there was some training involved. But when she says Deadwood, she means he may not have the most flavor or flair, but he is consistent and reliable and, you know, fulfills his duties despite whatever chaos is going on around him. And I will say, when our family goes through things, he really is that solid, unfaltering rock that you can lean on. Like, I can count on one hand the number of times my dad has done something that surprised me or felt out of character. He's truly so consistent. And so because of her, I believe that the truly reliable men were the quiet, stoic ones who were good at science and math, which sounds ridiculous, but that genuinely was my thought process when I was younger. And it did lead me to really fixating on some men that I thought were stoic and mysterious, but actually just lacked emotional intelligence and then hurt me an unnecessary amount because they couldn't communicate. So yeah, let's not always romanticize stoic men. Oh, and the other thing about me, which to some extent is probably still true, I really believed in opposites attract, partially because of procreation. I don't know why I was thinking about that at my prepubescent age. Like now I don't even know if I want kids. But for example, my dad was really good at STEM and my mom was really good at humanities. So their kid would just be this well-rounded academic weapon. Although that didn't really work. Like I'm kind of mid at STEM, but you get my point. And so I was like, oh, I need to find someone who's super tall. My family is not tall. And like, if you go back in the bloodline, we're not that tall. So we kind of need help on that front. But yeah, super tall, super athletic. I also don't excel on that front. Really good at math and physics. And then like really quiet. And beyond this like weird creating the perfect child stuff, I think a lot of my, not love, but like infatuation is really rooted in respect and awe. I guess to some extent my resume style of dating from when I was younger is still within me, but a guy will go way further with me by impressing me rather than wooing me. Like if I can tell that you're smart or capable, that does a lot for me. And if I don't think you're smart and capable, it doesn't matter if you move mountains for me, like I'm just not interested. And so I think because of that, I'm really drawn to guys who are good at things that I'm not. Like if you are good at sports or, I don't know, driving or physics, especially physics, because that was the one subject that really cucked me, it will make me fall in love with you. There were guys that I liked almost purely because they were good at physics, which is absurd. I'm obviously trying to move away from that. I guess this is the perfect segue to what my dream man would be now, because I kind of lost the plot for a second there. What was I talking about? Anyway, but yeah, I've been trying to focus less on who impresses me and more on who compliments me. Compliment like compatible fits me, not compliment like says nice things to me. You probably knew that. I, for some reason, felt the need to clarify. I definitely still think I'm guilty of liking guys because I want to be them, or I want to be seen with them, or like I want to be worthy of them, and not because I actually want to be with them. And that being said, I do think a lot of the resume-esque expectations that I used to have are still kind of on my list, but just for better reasons. So yeah, let's try to make a new list. We'll start from scratch. First up, let's just get this out of the way, is ethnicity. I have only dated Asian men, and on principle, I'm not like opposed to dating non-Asian men. I'm not sure if I see it happening. While I'm super grateful to have grown up around so many Asian immigrant children, it's definitely made me very used to having people understand my experience like very intimately. And my Chinese identity is like a huge part of who I am, and it's just difficult for me to imagine doing life with someone that I'd have to explain so much to. Because also, even if I explain it to you, it's not like you really get it. I also don't really find myself physically attracted to non-Asian men, but I think that's just an exposure thing because I grew up around Asians. Like, when I studied abroad in Copenhagen, after a semester of seeing only non-Asian dudes, I was like, yo, some of these Aussie boys looking kind of fine. Well, they actually were fine. Speaking of physical attractiveness, if you ask my friends what my type is, they will say Korean men. And listen, I do think part of this is the fact that Korean culture is so centered on like beauty and appearance. Because there are a lot of guys out there where like if they just fix their hair or their glasses or their clothes, they could be 10 times hotter. I do think in general, Korean men are like closer to maximizing their full potential looks-wise, right? So that's the excuse I give. But honestly, I do think Korean men are my type. And it is a modern tragedy. I don't want to dive into why we don't want to date Korean men, because that's a very loaded topic, and I also feel like it would be better coming from an actual Korean. But let's just say there are a lot of patriarchal values and anger issues and intense drinking that tends to get passed down, which I have witnessed firsthand and don't want to witness again. For the record, I've met Korean men that I absolutely adored, so this is obviously generalization, but people have been telling me that I need a Chinese man who looks Korean, because I really would love to end up with another Chinese American. I am already so scared of losing my language, my culture, my ties to China, because that's where like almost all of my family is. And I think doing life with someone who also like eats the food and speaks the language would really help me hold on to that side of myself. Also, if I do have children, I would love for them to speak the language, go back to China, etc. And that's just a lot easier if your partner's also Chinese. Because, like, if you date someone not Chinese, they can't even communicate, right? All they can do is smile and wave. And I'm really close to my grandma back in China, and it would just be really sweet if they could actually converse. Speaking of family, this is very Oedipal of me, but I really care about a guy's relationship with his mother. I do not do mama's boys. I feel so strongly about this. That dynamic is so weird, and you're just like always competing with another woman. But I obviously still want a guy who takes really good care of his mom. Like, I definitely believe in the whole how he treats his mom is how he's gonna treat you saying. And I know this is kind of asking for a lot, but I also would love someone who has a similar relationship to their family as me. Like, I wouldn't want someone who is not on good terms with their family, obviously, but I also wouldn't want someone who's, like, scarily close, like, calling every single day they do everything together, because that sounds like a lot to handle as a wife. Oh, big plus points, though, if they have sisters, especially if they're the middle child between sisters, because then you get, like, maximum humbling and training from both fronts. Oh, while we're talking about Dream Man, I feel like we have to cover height, because that's just a hot topic. I will say, I have dated short kings. I've dated like 5'5", 5'6" men, and I have some friends who literally won't even look at a man below 5'10", like it's a non-negotiable. So I like to think I am pretty open-minded on that front, but I do prefer taller men. Not crazy tall, like 6'3", because then you're a full foot taller than me, and that's weird. But like 5'10" and above would be nice, because I almost always wear heels, so I'm like 5'5", 5'6" on a regular day. Also, once again, the bloodline. I don't want to have a short king son who has a Napoleon complex. That's just like too much to deal with. And in terms of those resume items I mentioned before, I'm sorry, but you still have to be smart. Like, I don't care about your SAT score, your GPA, or where you went to school, but I have met people where I can, like, feel the gap in intelligence, and it makes it hard for us to converse or banter on the same level. I'm sorry if that sounds bitchy. So for me, it's just like, if I meet you and I don't notice that, then, like, you're clearly smart. And honestly, what I think is more important to me now than academic achievement is obviously career. I am clearly headed in a more freelance creative direction, so I would love the security of being with someone who has a stable job in a high paying industry where I know they can keep moving up and making more money. I mean, I have had jobs that I really hated, so I don't want them to be slaving away for something they don't like. Ideally, it's a job that, you know, they can find some fulfillment and enjoyment in. And while I am trying to let go of this whole liking people I'm in awe of thing, I still need you to be good at what you do. Like, I was talking to my roommate Jonathan about this because he's the exact same. It's not that you're not allowed to be bad at things. Obviously, if you start a new hobby like pottery, for example, you're not going to be good in the beginning. But the things that you choose to make your personality or flex, you should be good at. Like 90% of the videos of guys dancing on Hinge, they're so bad at dancing. And I'm like, if you aren't good yet, just please don't share with the class. I'm sorry if that's mean, but I am going to get the ick. I should do an icks episode, honestly, because I have so many of them. And to some extent, I still want a guy who's good at things that I'm not good at, but it's for more practical reasons. Like, I want a guy who's good at parallel parking because I suck at it. I want a guy who's good at cooking because I'm pretty mid and I don't really enjoy it that much. And it's just a matter of finding someone who will take care of you and I guess make your life easier. I don't want to make it sound too transactional, but I've been thinking a lot more about the gaps in my life. Gaps is not the right word. My life is like very whole the way it is now. But the areas where I could use some assistance. Like, my friends always laugh at me and say that I don't actually want a boyfriend. I just want an assistant because I want someone who will cook for me, help me carry heavy things, pick up my Facebook Marketplace furniture, help manage my personal finances, book my travel, help me navigate. But honestly, having witnessed some successful marriages, I do think that complementary skill set or, you know, set of things that you like to do versus don't is really important. Like, my mom and older sister both slayed because they married guys who love cooking. So they literally don't touch the kitchen. They have every meal made for them. And I tell my mom she should be grateful. And she's like, your dad cooks because he loves cooking. Like, it's not just because he loves me. My dad and brother-in-law also both manage, like, travel, taxes, investments. And I need that because all that personal finance shit stresses me out so much. And I definitely had to take exams on all of it to become an investment banker, but I clearly did not retain any of it. Actually, now that I think about it, my mom and my sister both have a mid sense of direction. Well, actually, my sister's is just like downright abysmal. And my dad and brother-in-law both have pretty good direction. So, yes, I do want a man who is super strong, super good at cooking, could be a travel agent in another life, and has an awesome sense of direction. And I don't think I'm asking for too much. Actually, while we're on the strength point, at risk of being a bit problematic, I do want a gym guy. Like, I would love to be body neutral and say I don't care, but that would be a lie because I do care. I don't like the super bulky built look, but I would love for your shoulders to be a little wider than mine, to have some arm back action going on. And, well, I don't want your tits to be bigger than mine, which actually is like not that hard to achieve, but I also don't want you to be flat as a board. Like, I'm sorry, I just cannot get into the dad bod or the scary skinny guy. 'Cause I'm like, I feel like I could sit on you and break you. I just think there are so few things men can do for their appearance. Like, why not go to the gym? I think it's a good show of discipline. It's also good for your health. Keep in mind, I do not go to the gym, so this is all incredibly hypocritical. But I will say, when I'm dating someone who goes to the gym, I do go to the gym. Not proud to admit it, but it's true. So dating a gym guy would actually just be a good influence on me. Also, guys who are like good at a sport, that is hot. Actually, I guess it depends on what the sport is. I actually love to do this as an activity with my friends, like ranking what are the hottest sports for a guy to play. I think up there for me is swimming, basketball, maybe like football and soccer as well. While we're back on the superficial front, I get questions about what dress style I like on a guy. Honestly, I care a lot less than people think. I mean, I get it because I like to dress up, but the guy I was in love with in high school literally rotated between 7 t-shirts and basketball shorts. Not that that is my dream wardrobe for a man, but like, I don't like fashion boys. Actually, I actively hate them. You know, the Rick Owens, Balenciaga, demon types. I've heard the worst horror stories about them. They sound evil, and they're obsessed with themselves, and they're so annoying. I also don't love more effeminate styles of dressing. Like, I really appreciate them from a fashion perspective, but I don't find myself attracted to it. Just wear, like, simple, well-fitting, clean, classy clothing. And I don't mind if a guy is like more casual or athleisure as long as he knows how to dress appropriately for the right occasions. I would honestly prefer a guy who like doesn't really have a sense of style and just wears what I give him versus a guy who has a sense of style that I hate. Like, love that you have a point of view. Please keep it to yourself. Okay, wait, I'm trying to think what I haven't covered. It might be time to pull out the list, honestly. Except where even is that notebook? Okay, we have found it. Oh. This is 100% recycled and odorless paper products made from elephant poo. I did not know that. Oh, I also use this notebook upside down. Awesome. Okay, here we go. I will find a man who is smart and well-educated. Talked about that. Ambitious and career-oriented. Talked about that. Tall and handsome. Check. Asian and or speaks Chinese. Check. Treats his family super well. Check. Obsessed with me. How did I forget about that one? Okay, obviously everyone wants someone who is obsessed with them, but historically I have been in relationships where I like the other person more. Because I have this very deep-seated paranoia of falling out of love with someone or getting the ick or breaking someone's heart. And I almost feel more comfortable knowing that I'm the one who's more likely to get hurt. A lot to unpack there. But the point is, we are not doing that anymore. I want someone who is fully obsessed, worships the ground that I walk on. And honestly, I think I'm pretty fucking awesome. So like, why would you not be obsessed with me? Okay, next, knows me well and understands my needs. That's actually so sweet. I don't remember writing that. I think, especially when I was younger, I was very prone to feeling misunderstood. I guess because I was an angsty teen. But even now, I really don't like having to explain myself to people, especially people who I think have brains wired very differently, because I honestly feel like they still don't get it. And so feeling like someone understands me and I don't have to explain myself takes a lot of weight off my shoulders. I mean, that's why I tend to be friends with people who are very similar to me, because I don't even really have to verbalize it. Okay, next on this list I have... Oh. Okay, I'm realizing that I haven't talked about personality yet. I swear I'm not a superficial bitch. I just didn't get to it, but we need to talk about that. So when it comes to personality, I think on the introversion extroversion scale, I can kind of go either way. Like, I know I used to want this super quiet man, but actually the people I've dated as an adult have mostly been extroverts. I think it's because I'm personally someone who is pretty introverted. Like, my social battery is kind of weak. I never get sick of being alone, but I am really social and really talkative and really on when I'm out and about, which is why most people think that I'm an extrovert. So I don't know, I don't think it matters which they are, as long as they're able to socialize with my friends. This is really big for me. Like, you cannot be someone who's so introverted that I have to babysit you when I take you places. I should be able to just set you free and you can fend for yourself and like make friends with my friends. You also have to respect how much time or space I need alone. I mean, honestly, once you're like actually in a romantic relationship, I feel like you're so comfortable with them, it's easy to have them around. But I don't think I can be with someone who is going to be sad when I won't do stuff with them or like go places with them because I just don't have the social battery. Now that I think about it, almost the opposite would be nice. Like someone who is more extroverted but doesn't take up a ton of space in social environments. Honestly though, the big personality thing for me, and I don't know how this hasn't come up, it's probably because I've just given up on finding it, is the banter. I am definitely guilty of only knowing how to flirt by roasting and getting roasted. Like, if you land a good roast on me, I will fall in love with you. And I most certainly do not know how to flirt in any other way. Like, I'm not saying cute shit and compliments to a guy that I'm not dating yet. You probably won't even get it once we are dating. Although I do swear, like, I get a lot nicer. And shockingly, my roasting does not always land well, especially back in college. Every guy I liked either thought I didn't like him or couldn't tell how I felt. So that was really awesome. But I think finding someone who's able to match my energy and my humor is so important to me. Like, that is a non-negotiable. I've always said that I want someone who is kind but not nice. Like, I don't fuck with soft boys who are super, super, like, sweet and sensitive. Also, because if you put that with my personality, like, then it's just one-sided and it becomes verbal abuse. I need someone who will, like, give it back to me. I want someone who kind of bullies me verbally in, like, a cute way, but in terms of action, treats me really, really well. Which actually reminds me that we haven't talked about love languages yet. Honestly, I've always had trouble ranking them because I literally want them all, lol. But my top is probably acts of service, in case you didn't get that from the whole I need an assistant bit. I really struggle with, like, self-care and being stressed all the time, so I think alleviating some of that is really the best thing that you can do for me. Quality time, I don't know, I feel like that's up there for most people. I actually really enjoy parallel play. Like, I don't need all our time together to be super locked in, but obviously I want someone who prioritizes me and intentionally sets aside, like, one-on-one time for us. Physical touch is funny because it is one of my top ones for romantic relationships, maybe even above acts of service. But I don't do PDA because people don't need to see that. It's also, like, I know it's weird for my friends because I am so untouchy in my platonic relationships that it just feels very uncharacteristic. And for gifts, I don't like spending a ton of money on each other. I don't find it very meaningful. But I care about gifts in the sense of, like, how much you pay attention to the other person and how much you listen. So I don't really care about the material item. It's more like a testament to how much they understand you and what you need. And then words of affirmation is bottom for friends and romantic relationships. I literally get the ick if a guy tries to tell me that I'm so smart and hardworking because I'm, like, almost offended that you feel the need to tell me that. But I think for more subjective things like, oh, I really love this outfit, or oh, like, you look pretty today, that's obviously nice to hear. Okay, let me see what else is on this list. Snarky but kind, check. Athletic, talked about that. Acts of service, physical touch, affirmation on appearance, check. Wow, my thoughts on what I want in a man are really very consistent. Doesn't take up too much space, check. Likes to get out of the house. What did I mean by that? Oh, wait, this is so funny. So basically my dad is more of a homebody and my mom really likes to get out and about. They are very much opposite ends of the spectrum. And I think I'm somewhere in the middle, but I maybe lean a little bit more homebody. Like, I'm not good about actually making the plans. So I think having someone who pushes me to get out of the house and go on adventures and book trips would be really good for me. Then I put princess treatment. I mean, I think you've got that by now, but yes, I would like to be provided for. And then I put confident. Oh, wait, I'm so surprised I forgot this one, because this is usually what I open with, along with the snarkiness thing. I obviously have self-esteem issues, like anyone else, but in general, I am a pretty confident, self-assured person, and I really don't need external validation. And so I cannot be with someone who needs me to prop up their ego. Like we've already established, I'm not good at words of affirmation, so I will not be good at telling you that you're so, so great. I need you to just know that, and then obviously I will support you in any way that you need. Also, like, people with lower self-esteem who are kind of sensitive, I just don't think we're compatible. Like, I dated someone who was a lot less confident than me, and I would accidentally offend him / like make him spiral about his own life and his own achievements just by existing. And I was like, huh? Also, we know that insecurity is the main reason that men cheat. So you gotta know that you're hot shit and not be seeking any confirmation of that from anyone, even me, ideally. And then the last thing I put is my family loves him. I mean, that's a given. Also, why would they not love him if he is all the aforementioned things? He sounds amazing and perfect, almost like I literally listed the qualities of my dream man. And I think we should wrap it up here because I'm realizing I could literally go on forever. Like, there's so many things that I haven't covered yet. Honestly, this is really fun. I should do more random topics like this. Also, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like no matter what the subject is, I managed to bring up some interesting bits. I'm also glad that my family came up in this episode because I feel like I really haven't talked about them that much, obviously for privacy issues, but my parents' relationship is like so formative to how I think about love and marriage. So I would love to get into that more someday, eventually. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for listening. Let me know what else you want me to talk about, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, guys!